Today's Mercedes-Benz interview of the day brought to you by, conveniently, Mercedes-Benz. Luxury SUVs now come with a luxury of choice. Learn more about the E-Class SUVs at your local dealer or mbusa.com/special offers. More phone calls coming up. He's a big-time Hollywood star. He's Laurence Fishburne. He plays the former Clippers head coach. Doc Rivers in FX's Clipped. The next episodes are available today exclusively on Hulu as we welcome in Laurence Fishburne. How much of a basketball fan are you?
Not at all. Not since the 1969 Knickerbockers, man.
Wait, that's when your fandom peaked?
That was it. That was the only time. I wanted to be Paul Clyde Frazier when I grew up.
What kind of game do you have?
I have no game at all. I'm a left-handed person, so whenever I got involved in sports, everybody was always looking at me like, "Oh, here he comes again with that."
You might have been like Dick Barnett, maybe left-hander for your Knicks.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
When you get this offer to play Doc Rivers, what do you think of right away?
Who's Doc Rivers?
Wait, you didn't know who Doc Rivers was?
No idea who Doc Rivers was. I told you I'm not a sports fan.
Damn. But it's kind of, is it easier when you don't know who you're playing or harder?
Of course it is. It's totally easier. Yeah. I have no preconceived notion. I brought no preconceived idea about who the man was to it. I had no opinion about anything because I didn't know about his history.
And then how do you start studying?
Well, luckily, he's still alive with us. He's alive and well. And we have mutual friends. So I was able to get his number and call him and talk to him briefly. And I invited him to a Labor Day party at my house. And he and my friend Wynton Marsalis were there together, and they immediately got into a debate about the late Bill Russell, who had just passed away, about whether or not he was the greatest who played the game, et cetera, et cetera. So I got to watch these two debate for 2 hours about, the great Bill Russell. So you can imagine it was very passionate and it was very intelligent and it was very, in depth because they were, they were talking about specific games and moments in games, et cetera, right? So through that experience, I was able to really observe Doc being his very, very natural self without any of the constraints of his position as a coach during this whole thing that happened with the Clippers.
At any point, do you want to try to mimic Doc's voice?
Well, it was very clear that he had a raspy voice, and it was very clear why he had a raspy voice to me. So I made the effort to sort of replicate that in my performance.
How difficult was that?
Not at all. Not hard.
Because I have somebody here who works with me. Now,
yes.
I want you to judge Fritzy's Doc Rivers impersonation.
Go for it.
Hey, Laurence, you got to give me 48 minutes out there. You got to give me 48. I can't have you just sit there on the sideline, be engaged, work with me a little bit, and I can get you where you want to go.
Hey, listen, that's not bad. That's not bad. Not as good as mine, but it's all right.
What's the one thing you get when you're on the street? Guaranteed somebody's going to say what to you?
Morpheus.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. And you're...
red pill, blue pill.
When you read the script for Matrix, do you understand, what it can possibly be?
Yeah, I understood it. Yeah.
But the magnitude of what it would be.
No, nobody understood that. I don't think anybody really absolutely knew what it was going to do, that it was going to be the pop culture phenomenon worldwide that it became. I don't think anybody knew that. And I think anybody that says they knew that is probably full of but,
Yeah, but how many times have you read something and you go, that's going to be a hit?
I've never read anything and said that's going to be a hit. I've always read something and gone, whether I like it, it speaks to me or not.
What spoke to you about this series, though, Clipped?
This series was the great confluence of sexism, racism, white privilege, in the social media and the impact of social media, um, sports, business, um, entertainment, our whole sort of culture of celebrity, etc. It was this beautiful confluence of all those things, and Gina Welsh wrote it so brilliantly, with so much nuance and sensitivity and humanity, that I just thought, oh, this is great. It's not about just basketball. It's about our humanity collectively.
And we talked to Ed O'Neill last week, and he said it was great to play in a non-comedy role like that, because he's been in that role, but you've been in serious roles. So is it any more of a challenge or less of a challenge?
To be in an ensemble with somebody like Ed O'Neill and Cleopatra Coleman is priceless. To be working with LeVar Burton, who's been a dear friend of mine for 40 years. I mean, these are people of serious weight and talent. And we had the support of this incredible material, this really, really interesting, nuanced, timely story. So,
talking to Laurence Fishburne, he plays the Clippers head coach Doc Rivers. FX is Clipped. Latest episodes available today exclusively on Hulu. I had one encounter with Keanu Reeves. He came in studio years ago.
Oh, wow, cool.
No, he had no entourage. He took the subway.
Nope.
He walks in, has a suit on. I think he was 50 at the time. He looked 35. Could not have been a nicer person. And so, now when I see him in John Wick, like just the action part, like it's weird. You have that kind of juxtaposition of this guy is peaceful, he's nice, he's pleasant. And then all of a sudden he goes into John Wick mode and look out, everybody dies.
Sure, yeah.
What was it like when you first met him?
Keanu's a beautiful cat, man. He's unlike anybody I've ever met or ever will meet. He's a singular individual. He's a deeply soulful and highly intelligent man. And we're brothers, and I love him. And we were fortunate enough to be, cast together in this film, The Matrix, that became, a pop culture phenomenon. And it has obviously changed our lives and connected us in a way, which is nice. And then we were fortunate enough to kind of revisit each other as actors with the John Wick shows. So yeah, I'm just grateful that he's in my life and that we've maintained our friendship over these years.
Is there a role,
I love him.
Historical figure you'd like to play?
Well, I've played a bunch of them now. I did Nelson Mandela and the late Thurgood Marshall and Bumpy Johnson and Ike Turner and now Doc Rivers. The one I would have liked to have done, I would have loved to have had the opportunity to play Muhammad Ali, but Will Smith did it and did it brilliantly. I would have loved to have been able to play Jimi Hendrix, for example, but I've aged out from that one. So, listen, something will turn up. We'll see.
Did you meet Ali?
I did meet Ali briefly back in 1981. I had a very interesting encounter with Ali. Never spoke a word to him, but we acknowledged each other in a way that will always stay with me for the rest of my life. Yeah.
I was there when he got checked in New York for Parkinson, and I'd been around him a couple of times when he was able to speak, and then all of a sudden, the person who couldn't stop talking had to stop talking. And
stop talking.
But there was a communication level that you're talking about, where it's unspoken, but there was something. I don't know what it was, but it was still powerful.
To the world, its soul. He spoke to the world he communicated spiritually to most of the world. If you're in tune to that, Muhammad Ali was a very spiritual man. He was a spiritual warrior, in fact.
When's the last time you flip through the channels and you go, all right, I'm going to watch me?
I'm going to watch me?
Yeah.
Oh, about a month and a half ago, I'm in England now doing a television series for Netflix. And just before I left New York, a movie that I did back in 2013, 2014, with Thomas Jane came on, this thing called Standoff, which is a funny little two-hander that we did. And I got to watch that because the writing in that is really amazing. I get to spout off some really cool things.
But do you grade yourself? Do you see something when you watch that maybe you didn't see? Do
I mean,
you care?
Once I've done something, it takes me about 5 years to watch something after I've done it.
Wow.
To like really, it takes about 5 years for me to have the distance on it where I can sit and watch it, enjoy it without being judgmental and without, ripping myself to shreds and being super critical. So again, this movie I made maybe 10 years ago, and it came on, and I was like, oh, let me check this out. And I actually enjoyed watching it.
Well, have fun over there in England, and good luck with Clipped, and thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Very well. So nice to talk to you.
Thank you, Laurence.
Take care.
Laurence Fishburne playing the former Clippers head coach Doc Rivers in FX's Clipped. Next episode's available today exclusively on Hulu.